Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Mobafire Challenger Series. We're going to start things off with a pause, but also by introducing our teams. And I suppose I should start out by introducing myself. I am Rapid. With me is Azaraki, and you guys are joining us for Infinite Odds, a new team here replacing Exertus Zeal. They are your team on the left. It's I, Kenny, you, DJ Lambo, Bobkin XD, Body Drop, and Otter down there. Going up against them will be Reality Check Gaming, also known as RXG. It's going to be Fragnatic, Bubba Tofu Shift, Legendary Rise, and Vlad Player. You got X Shepherd and Shinon. They're subbing in AD carry because usually they will have Atlanta. He played a little bit earlier for Team Summons, so all over the place. That guy is just getting his finger in just about everything. But we're supposed to get it back into the game. The game is unpaused. We are out onto the Rift. This is our third game of the night. Infinite Odds taking on RXG.
And already we're seeing a little bit of mobility from both teams. It looks like Reality Check Gaming going for, I think they've done this start in the past as well, but they're going for an early invade near the bottom lane, to taking the long way around, and that's basically going to help them not get spotted out because a lot of people like to ward the river a little bit up towards the dragon pit, a little bit up towards the mid lane, and they certainly like to stand in that bush right outside the mid lane's wall. So that's something. Looks like Body Drop might see Shepherd. I don't know, did he see Shepherd? Either way, there is a ward there, so they're not going to be able to use this entry point unless they just want to scare, and it looks like that's just what they're doing. They know the ward is there, but they just want to make their presence known at the moment. So it looks like, we have a reaction by Infinite Odds. They're pinging for the enemy red, they're pinging the middle brush. It looks like they're just warding that out, and they're going to counter with their own red take, and this is actually at this moment the safer play to go for, I would have to say. If they were to contest their own, that wouldn't be too safe because already Reality Check would have set up for the counter invade right there, but it looks like Reality Check, they're going back. And so are Infinite Odds. They're going back to their own jungle as well. And that is actually a blind spot that Infinite Odds know that Reality Check are going back to their own jungle. So they did ward it out, and that is going to help them in the jungle when it comes time for Elise to take that red buff.
All right, now this is actually a new strategy as far as warding is concerned, and it's something that's Aware Gaming do a lot. Actually came over from, I think it's China and Korea, kind of did it at the same time, where you ward between your bottom two turrets, so that way you get the fastest possible realization of who's going where. Because as soon as you see the bottom laner walk to that bottom lane, you know exactly, hey, this is how we're going to set up our lanes, and it's a very easy way to start things off. Now, Bobkin's actually going to walk through that ward by red buff, so immediately RXG are like, hey, we know Gragas is going bottom, we have Zed mid, and they're going to send Renekton down bottom to counter that out. But it was a very late trip down to bottom lane for Bobkin, so these still could be a little bit of a interesting lanes. Flay missing there by Bubba Dub in the top lane, Shinon and Thresh just going to walk back to lane.
And yeah, definitely Gragas down in the bot lane, doing that 2v1 lane. He's going to be able to farm from a distance at no problem if they were not predicting this. But already Body Drop ignited. That is huge for their team. He's either going to have to back or he's going to have to stay really, really passive through this laning phase. I believe he started with Aqua Prison like most people do for Nami, so he's not going to have the ebb and flow to heal herself at this point. And as soon as Babadub hits level 2, then the top lane for Infinite Odds really going to have to be careful for the death sentence initiation.
Yeah, Body Drop, no experience. Okay, he has 1 minion of experience right now, so that's going to be a long time until he hits that level 2. Bubba Dub, though, you can see him actually sitting at 1 minion until he hits level 2. First gank of the game going down in the mid lane. Kenny in under turret before he can get autoed by Fragnatic. Somewhat unsuccessful. Second gank, DJ Lambo down bottom lane. Hadn't quite gone for one, just going to go back and farm himself up some double golems.
In the top lane, we have an Aqua Prison landing as well as Bubba Dub trying to go in for a little bit of poke, but Body Drop is still level 1, not able to heal up Otter. They still need to play passively, but it looks like Fragnatic is up in here. They might want to try for an early dive.
Yeah, that is going to be the damage going down. Otter flashes out behind the turret. Bubba Dub takes a lot of damage. It's still a pretty manly dive, not giving away any kills. Body Drop and Otter, of course, pretty far back off this turret. And with the wave of minions there, this could actually be the first turret of the game. The attack speed coming down from Jarvan's Demacian standard. Another wave coming up there, but minions still autoing the turret for now. A lot of damage going down. Body Drop using that ebb and flow. Healing up that lane for Infinite Odds. Kenny, you coming in from the mid lane. Shinon using the Caitlyn trick, chunking down, Body Drop dangerously low, down below 100 HP. As this Fragnatic ignited, he's gonna have to get out of there. First blood goes to Shinon.
Oh man, a little bit of miscommunication right there. We saw ICanEU. Oh wow, a Piltover Peacemaker taking Nami out from max range. And
Tofu shift
is
here,
in the
gonna
back.
throw down the dodge. Gonna throw down the pool, the ignite, just about the easiest turret dive you could possibly get. Ignite, you pool, and pick up the third kill of the game already for RXG.
If we take a look at what happened, why this entire thing happened in the first place, Bubba the entire time in the early game was zoning out Body Drop. Body Drop couldn't go through the river to get back into lane, which is what he wanted to do. That was the fastest way back into lane. Otherwise, he would have to go all the way around near the blue buff, all the way around through the Tribe Rush there, and he would miss a lot of experience through that way. But Bubba did not want to give up that position, doing a very good job of such, and using the Ignite as well. And that's another really great play for him to make use of the Ignite. So that was really what zoned him out. Body Drop was level 1 by the time everyone else was level 3, and that dive was very easy to pull off. So that was a very good play right there. And as I was saying before, KennyU unfortunately going in for the kill, maybe using an aggressive shadow to try to get an E-poke out. However, the rest of his team wasn't there to follow up on the initiation, and all those things combined really just ended up as 3 kills over for Reality Check Gaming.
Yeah, but keep in mind the Ignite's going down in the bottom lane as well. It almost killed off Bobkin. A lot of damage coming down from X Shepard. Bobkin forced back to base, but keep in mind he has his Ignite up. Renekton does not, so X Shepard a little bit weaker in that lane. Started with a Doran's shield, definitely expecting to go up in that 1v1 versus ICanEU, but starting things out, double Doran's ring for Bobkin. Be able to get a sustain on in that lane, or no, one Doran's ring, also a Tear of the Goddess.
And there already we're seeing the zoning potential of the Reality Check Gaming's AD carry support combo. Fragnatic is up here once again. This is a duo lane, however, they're still pushing it down as if it was a 2v1. They're going to take the tower at 6 minutes. This is a very huge early tower. Vayne's unfortunately not going to have that CS, and already Shinon hit BF sword. That is such a huge item for that early laning phase. 6 minutes into the game, that is something that you certainly don't want to go up against. And they're already predicting the sort of swap back around where they're sending Otter and Body Drop bot, so it looks like they're going to react by sending Shinon and Babadub back down bot as well, and things are just going to be as stagnant as they were before. The only difference is the fact that Reality Check has the top tower.
Ignite going down on to Fragnatic. Bob gonna look for one more body slam, but with X Shepard there, zoning him away. Not gonna be able to get in just yet. DJ Lambo coming in for some extra wave clear as well. And after that turret going down, it's actually kind of surprising to see Infinite Odds push out that lane as fast as they are. Scumbag minion chasing DJ Lambo into his own jungle. He's gonna try to wait there for X Shepard. Can't quite get the ambush on right now. Fragnatic heading down to the bottom, has no items other than that Spirit Stone and boots with consumables after that, so it's interesting to see him so far behind in his build, because if you look away at Elise, DJ Lambo's starting to stack things up, but pretty much has the same itemization himself right now. Throws down the cocoon, the damage coming in. Takes definitely a lot more of that out in return, and Tofu Shift just gonna be able to heal back on up.
Yeah, now that Tofu Shift is level 6, he's hitting the point where Rise starts to get very powerful, and most of that is the fact that he can use Transfusion to sustain the lane so much better than before. In the top lane, it looks like there's an ultimate going out.
Yeah, ultimate going down. Renekton trying to 1v2. Shepard's got dominance on. The body slam does land. You see him actually have that slice and dice to get over the wall in just one more second. With ICanEU coming up here, he's going to have to get out of town before the sheriff arrives. Kenny trying to get in range, but does use that Living Shadow. The flash, the counter flash, avoiding that cocoon coming out from DJ Lambo, gets X Shepard out alive.
And that was actually a smart play to make sure that he didn't flash or slice and dice over that wall right there, because he would have went right over the wall into ICanEU, but that's great communication on their part. Tofu Shift noticing, oh hey, ICanEU left this lane. Hey, watch out, he's going up for you in the top lane, and that really allowed him to escape up there. Very good communication on their part, and they're still ahead in this game. Looks like they're going for a dragon 8 minutes in the game fairly early. Most of the time we see about 10 minutes unless there is a big play that happens, but you know, there's really nothing that Infinite Odds can do about this. They have no sight whatsoever here. Very good pink boards on the side of Reality Check, and this is going to be a free drag to further their lead. 5k gold difference already, 8 minutes into the game. This is pretty huge.
And that's not the only thing that's pretty huge. If you want to look at the score across the board, Caitlyn, the F sword in hand, and the double Dorans for Vayne. Not working out quite so well. We are going to see the damage go down. DJ Lambo, the ganks happening in lanes and in the jungle. Gets taken out at his own buff. Great invade there by Fragnetic. Gets some backup from Bubba. Very aggressive invade, just further snowballing this lane for RXG. And that's what's going to start to get scary, because as long as you have creeps in the jungle, as long as you have presence, you can kind of hang out on your own side of the map, you know, at least establish some presence. But once your jungler starts getting invaded like that, you're not really safe anywhere. Your outer line of turrets have already fallen. Your jungle is getting invaded, and you're killing off the jungler in his own jungle. Look at the ward coverage from RXG. There's literally nowhere you can go that is safe.
Yeah, and notice the where they're warding as well. That really tells you sort of the tale of how the map control is going. They have no wards in their own jungle because they don't need to. If Infinite Odds were to risk a jungle invade at this point, it would be really bad for them, but it looks like Bobkin getting turned on.
Yeah, there's the Ignite going down there, but can they pick up the kill? It does look like the answer is no. Does mean that Deathmark going in on to Shepherd. Bobkin actually forced the flash away because he body slammed into a creep and didn't get that, but the Demacian Standard coming in there, you're gonna be able to, or Dragon Strike rather. It was the Demacian Standard not used. Dragon Strike to pick up the kill. So ultimately, you know, it's a 1-for-1, about the best that you could hope for, and first kill of the game, going over to Infinite Odds. Now, Infinite Odds have actually been in this almost like the exact same situation versus RXG before. The only problem is that as far as RXG is concerned, once they get to late game, they have some issues, so they want to take things as carefully as they can. Kenny's in that mid lane, got Otter converging. There's a little bit of CC, but when you're talking about Zed, all you really have in your kit is a slow. After using that Living Shadow to initiate, don't really have that left available. And I guess I gotta ask you, Azaraki, if you're Infinite Odds right now, when you're starting to hemorrhage things across the board, everyone on your team has died once, but no one's really, you know, starting to feed super hard. And with the, you know, with the point of the game we're in, only 11 minutes in, looking for the dragon to respawn, who do you think's really gonna have the pressure on that objective? And is there any way Infinite Odds can, you know, turn things around?
The pressure is definitely going to go to Reality Check Gaming. We see once again their ward coverage. The entire enemy jungle is warded in the bottom half of the map, and that is also helping them keep control over the objective that is Dragon. Now, what Infinite Odds want to do is they want to stop getting caught out alone. iKennyU's doing that in the top lane right now. Jack Shepard is going to try to kill him.
Yeah, except for getting in there, but not really able to pick up all that much. He still has that secondary turret, no damage on that just yet, which means that RXG, they're not actually pushing turrets anymore. I mean, they picked up some kills, they picked up some turrets, but you have to actually get back in there onto those secondary line of turrets. And that means you're going for back to buy. Ooh, actually a lot of damage. Knocking Fragnetic goes for the dunk to try to get out alive, but Bobkin pick up the kill there with that Ignite. Lambo looking down, dangerously low. Ignite is on, but he will be able to get alive. Ebb and Flow there, but the last auto attack, Shine On, netting in for the kill. Got KennyU in there as well. Bumped up, taking it a little bit low himself. Turret looking to get taken out. Tofu Shift's the one with the kill. And like I was just talking about, they haven't gotten in there onto the secondary turrets. That's all it takes. A nice engagement, but ultimately the turret going down. Fourth turret of the game for RXG to 0, taken down by Infinite Odds.
And one of the biggest reasons they lost that fight were the fact that they just stayed there a little bit too long. They kept trying to fight it without the information they needed. They got Fragnetic, that was great. They should have backed off after that, however. They didn't have any ward coverage in their own jungle, and someone might say, well, Bubba has in Oracles, why would you go out and ward? But that one vision that you get before he can clear it with Oracles is the thing. But Shepard getting killed in the top lane, the Ignite ticking down, and that will be another kill for iKenny. Actually, he is the only one besides Gragas holding kills for his team, so he might be able to help his team get back into it, but it's still going to be a daunting task. And as I was saying before, even though someone has an Oracles, you still get that initial sight when they're going to clear it. So if you can ward up your own jungle, then you know, alright, they're clearing our wards, but at least we know where they are for the time being. Your wards don't have that much longevity, but that little bit of sight could easily help you turn a fight, or could also help you not initiate a fight that's going to be bad for you.
Yeah, and this is actually kind of what I had in mind when we were looking for Infinite Odds to turn things around. They had to get rid of the ward coverage, and they had to make plays happen with where their strengths lie, or lay, I suppose, if you want to use the past tense of that. And Kenny, pretty much the strongest person on the team, looking for his Blade of the Ruined King. Can't quite pick that up just yet. And with the ward coverage in there, in their own jungle, Bubba Dubs clearing it out, actually not placing all that much more. Impale backwards, or Condemn backwards onto Shepard. He's going to flash in for the stun. Otter getting dunked on, but flashes away. away immediately. A perfect double bubble comes out from Body Drop, landing that 2-man Aqua Prism. The duo lane for Infinite Odds get out alive. Pretty impressive performance. I couldn't like envision in my brain a way that they would successfully get out of their life. But Cocoon lands top lane. DJ Lambo going in. We're gonna see the pool come out. Emo Plague is down. Kenny taking a lot of damage. It's gonna see the last final frog. There's actually the ultimate from Caitlyn, not necessary. And now DJ Lambo's on the run. Tofu Shift looking to get down the damage. Cocoon lands. DJ Lambo gets out alive, but a nice 1v2 there by Tofu.
And you talked about Reality Check having a little bit of trouble closing out games in the earlier points of the season, but they're showing that they can really close things out. Tofu Shift, but there goes the toll.
Yeah, they're gonna get that in there onto Bobkin. One more auto attack. There's the headshot. It's Tofu that picks up the kill. This guy is going nuts. 3-0-1. Same score, 3-0-2 actually for Shine On. The carries carrying things out here from RXG. And I know Infinite Odds have come back from pretty severe deficits against RXG before. It's just never really looks very likely for that to happen.
Yeah,
Cole actually lands on to DJ Lambo. The death sentence, the box goes down. Repel with nowhere to go. Kenny's going to try to come in here and get something done. He's actually going to use Death Bark on the back line, looking for the double. Tries to get in there. Living Shadow, but he gets kited away. A nice 90 caliber net. Just enough calibers to get Shine On out of there alive. And everything going wrong for Infinite Odds. Daughter trying to get away from here, but with no more tumbles, tries to turn around from the Condemned. Just can't quite get it off cooldown. Double kill for X-Shepherd, and that is everybody but Bobkin getting taken out. 12-3 in favor of Reality Check Gaming.
Even though Bobkin isn't dead right now, he was taken out a lot earlier in some of these fights. Not actually sure what he was planning to do. We saw him use his ultimate on 3 people, but they ended up just turning and tower diving him anyway. He was alone there. He didn't have enough damage to finish off any of the kills. So unfortunately, he just sort of gave up that top lane tower there as well. But we talk about Reality Check and how they can close out games, but this is really how they can do it. We have Fragnatic and Shepherd, the 2 tankiest members of the team, down split pushing bot the entire time. No 2 people can duo those 2, especially when they're so far ahead. So the rest of the team is free to, push top, push mid, and they're forced to send 3 people down bottom or lose a tower. They might be able to defend against a tower with 2 people, but Tofu Shift, Bubba Dub, and Shine On, they're having no problem playing a 3v3 out. They're very fed. Bubba Dub has a ton of peel for both Tofu Shift and Shine On, and Tofu Shift and Shine On, they have a lot of damage. And Tofu Shift, with the amount of lifesteal he gets, with the amount of spell vamp, especially with the spectral wraith, he's very tanky as well.
Alright, well, we are going to see that explosive cask, but it's Bobkin able to pick up the kill. I was actually kind of give that one away to Shine On. He's been able to get some pretty sexy outplays so far, but I guess Bobkin a little bit too fat for that, pushing the wave and picking up the 4th kill of the game for Infinite Odds. And so even though the odds may be stacked somewhat infinitely against them, they still have some options up their sleeve.
Yeah, and then you with the puns once again, but in that engagement, I actually would have said Shine On would be better off if they were to just group mid and push. Shine On, Tofu, and Bubba Dub once again make a great team together. They can kite around forever, and they can really make some great plays happen. If they'd have all pushed mid, then they would have forced a lot of pressure there, and even if Bobkin might have been able to take a top tower, then it would still be a 2v2 in the bottom lane, and the 2 for Reality Check would have been very fed and very tanky, and the 2 trying to face against the 3 for Reality Check, well, that's a 2-3 engagement, and on top of that, they're already fed. So they could be able to take a base turret off of that, but instead, Shine On decided to go top. Tofu Shift going in on a Bobkin.
Does look like that is going to be an almost enough. Oh, there we go. I was like, wait a second. He has damage reduction from his W, but Bobkin actually didn't use his Drunken Rage to get that damage reduction. Gonna be the outplay there. Otter able to pick up Token Shift off the back of that, so still 1v1 in that exchange, but you gotta keep in mind, DJ Lambo did get taken out, and now it's up to Infinite Odds to try to defend this push in their middle lane. Bottom lane getting pushed at the same time. Shepherd taking down the 6th and last outer turret of the game for Infinite Odds.
And one thing we're seeing right here, they are ready to push down this final tower. Piltover Peacemaker doing quite a bit of damage. Body Drop able to heal quite a bit of that, however, with Ebb and Flow. Ebb and Flow can heal or damage multiple people. It just ebb and flows back between champion to champion. So that is one of the strongest parts about that ability. But one of the unfortunate parts is the fact that he is not doing too well right now. Philosopher's Stone boots all he has, whereas we have a Ruby Sightstone for Bubba Dub. He's not only going to have more wards, but a little bit more tankiness as well. And I actually do like the boots and mobility pick on Bubba Thresh at this moment. They're so far ahead. He's 1-0-6. He doesn't really need to worry about tanky boots or even cooldown boots. What they want to do right now is they want to force pressure around as many points of the map as possible, and boots and mobility allows for that. It gives him extra movement speed when he's out of combat. So suddenly he leaves the mid lane and he's in top lane or he's in bottom lane. They can really force a lot of pressure off that way. But so far they haven't really been doing too great at forcing the pressure in the first place. They've always been, all right, we killed one person. I like this engagement. Let's back out. But they should really be forcing their advantages that they get. They should be pushing a little bit more.
All right, now Bobkin actually did secure himself a blue buff, so that's actually pretty impressive considering the pressure and the ward coverage that RXG have on the map. DJ Lambo body drop, gonna get a standard. Shine on taking out Kenny Yu, but Bubba gets hit by the double bubble. Kind of aptly named there. DJ Lambo with the repel, and you're gonna get hit by that tidal wave as well. It's gonna be a nice pickup there. 1-for-1 the trade, but substantially in favor of RXG, taking out the Zed assassin there for just the support. And once again, kind of ironic, taking down Bubba Dub with the bubble. Tofu Shift trying to chase in onto Bobkin, but with that the dash, the body slam, able to get out of there alive and kind of avoid Tofu Shift for now. Bobkin using that to try to get away is gonna have his work cut out for him. Can't body slam through the wall. Bobkin throws down the ultimate. He's there we go. Can actually, but you have to be right next to the wall to do it. So gonna be a little bit of a pause here as we try to get everybody back in to the game. Tofu's having a little bit of lag, and apparently Fragnatic is as well. So should be getting everybody back in there, but it looks like client/internet's kind of blocking us again here. So I'm gonna throw up a little bit of a map blocker and should be able to get everybody back in the game as soon as it stops lagging, because don't wanna I don't know, Cogent giving us some problems once again, but certainly should be getting back into here as everybody stops having the internet connection act up.
And let's go back to some of the points of this game. Reality check, we keep talking about them. Can they close out this game? And so far, they've been working really slowly at it, and I think they could easily take this at a faster pace. Now, we just saw Bubba Dub. He got caught out trying to ward up in the enemy jungle, and he got killed really quickly. What happened there, infinite odds, they were ready. They were roaming as a 5-man. They were able to catch someone out like Bubba Dub, and there was nothing he could really do about it, even popping his flash. What I want to see from Reality Check Gaming, I want to see them start grouping up a little bit more. We've seen, okay, well, let's send one person top. Let's send Shine on top. Bubba Dub, you go out and ward in the jungle. X-Shepherd, you go in the bot lane. Everyone else pushes mid. That doesn't force enough pressure on the map, where if they were to push as a full 5 or maybe push as 4 and send someone like X-Shepherd down in the bot lane, they could have a lot more pressure in that respect. And at this point, they could, when they push towers, they could force an engagement from infinite odds or just poke at the tower with Caitlyn's supreme range. Those are the biggest options that they have, and I wish that they would sort of use those to close out the game. I don't know, it's going to take quite a bit for infinite odds to get back into this, but that's something that Reality Check needs to do to be sure to close out this game. And we do have an unpause, just make sure we get to live to bring you guys the forefront of the action that's happening in this game right now. And we're going to go right back into it. It looks like everyone once again is sort of splitting up and pushing once again. But Tofu Shift might be collapsing around. No, he's still going to start pushing in that top lane.
Kenny Yu waiting in the brush. Shepherd gonna go check it, and yeah, Kenny Yu wisely backing on out of there. Shepherd definitely has the itemization on him right now. I mean, Kenny can go in for this, but with Shepherd's ability to duel him, I actually really want to see how this is going to work out. Can he get the harassment down? But with that life steal from Ravenous Hydra, you see Shepherd pretty sustained for now, pushing in the mid lane, pushing in the top lane, and right now, pretty much the only choice for RXG is which lane can they push, or rather, which lane can't they push, because they're actually doing it all three at the same time.
Yeah, they are, and they're also sending Bubba Dub back to clear out wards near Baron, and they can do that, but they just need to make sure that they don't get caught out and they don't force an initiation while he's up there. When he returns, then that is the point to make action happen. And another pause, it looks like people might still be lagging. We'll have to see what they decide to say in chat, but a lot of people are experiencing this lag lately with the client, and to be honest, it's not really been cooperating all day.
Yeah, I mean, we've had an issue like we aforementioned with the first game of the day, but here we're gonna have to have a little bit of an issue while we take care of everybody else's internet connections. So, hang with us. We're about to get this game back underway. It's 6-15, and everybody's like, oh my goodness, this is such a huge stomp. But it's actually not that big a stomp. We're gonna have some reconnections, but I mean, as far ahead as Infinite Odds, or as far behind as Infinite Odds were, pretty much from step number 1. They had some issues up there with their dual lane in the top lane. I mean, it's Vayne versus Caitlyn. You can't really expect that not to have issues, but they've actually done a decent job at hanging on. They've been able to pick up kills, been able to defend at least pretty decently from now. All base turrets, all inhibitors left alive. Should be interesting to see if they can keep that up and maybe even try to turn this around.
Yeah, one thing I would like to see from Reality Check, maybe if they don't want to force the supreme 5-man push, they could very well push out the minions in all 3 lanes and then suddenly all appear in one lane that they're not quite expecting. We could see Bubadub, he's clearing wards right now, so for all Infinite Odds know, he's just clearing wards. They saw him attacking the wards, they know that he's just up there near the Dragon Pit clearing their wards. Now, he could use that to their advantage. He could sit right next to the top lane, but out of sight, and after Fragnatic and Shinon push the mid lane, they could rotate top, and they could really quickly make something happen at that top tower. Fragnatic goes in with a flag and drag combo, Cataclysm's Vayne, they kill her really quickly before the rest of the team can react. They get a tower off of that, and by getting a tower, they can easily push down the inhibitor after that, because the tower fights back, the inhibitor does not. And you don't want to initiate under the enemy team's tower, but when it's just an inhibitor, then it's a little bit easier to initiate. Granted, it's still in the enemy base, the enemy has as much sight as they want, as well as that little wall protecting them from most things as long as people don't dash or flash over it, but still, that is one of their best course of actions, in my opinion, one of the things they could do, especially if they don't decide to just group mid and 5 push.
And we really haven't seen that. It's been all about the split pushing here for RXG. I mean, they're gonna get everybody back into the game. Just waiting on Tofu right now. The split push from RXG, I mean, it's been effective. You can see all lanes pushed there to the base for Infinite Odds, but IO are actually doing a pretty good job defending this. When you look at I don't know how they've been doing that. It's really been onto that top lane. It was iKennaU. He was actually the one to pick up the first couple of kills for Infinite Odds, and then it kind of turned over to Bobkin. So even though the carries on both teams are carrying, I don't know, when we come to this team fight, you're gonna have to get a pick. You're gonna have to get somebody really far out of position, because you have Zanya's Hourglass and the pool available for Tofu's ship. That's some pretty undeniable damage. And when you think about the front line that's in front of Shinon, 5, 1, and 4 with Phantom Dancer and that blast. It's the other item. Phantom Dancer Bloodthirster. There we go. Phantom Dancer Bloodthirster versus just a Blade of the Ruined King. I mean, no Blade of the Ruined King is really OP right now, and there are 2 of them over on Infinite Odds. Let's see if they can turn this around.
They might be able to if Reality Check keep delaying this and delaying this and delaying this. If they keep the slow push on every lane, then that's going to give Infinite Odds a little bit of a chance to farm out a little bit more, get back into the game and farm, because they're by no means really far behind in farm. In fact, we see Bobkin isn't too far behind his counter opponent Tofu Shift, those 2 AP carries. And we also see KennaU is just about 13 CS behind X Shepard. The biggest discrepancy I'm seeing right now is Otter and Shinon, where Shinon has a lot more CS, but in terms of just the CS numbers, this game isn't actually that far gone. It's more about the kills, and it's mostly about the towers. Now, if Reality Check can't group up, if they can't push down a tower, then Infinite Odds has more and more time to get back into this, and when you have a team like Vayne, Elise, Zed, then it's just going to be that much better for them as time goes on. Now, they do have to worry about Vladimir, who's also going to become stronger as time goes on as well, but at the moment, if Infinite Odds, they can defend their base long enough, they might be able to force an initiation by catching someone out, and that would allow them to get into the game slowly but surely, and that is the possible way that I could see a comeback. Now, it's mostly on Reality Check Gaming as to whether or not they're going to let that happen, but it looks like they're going for a Baron. Infinite Odds doesn't have sight of this, but suddenly all of the pushing stops, so they can probably assume something's going on. Now, the problem with going for that Baron is that Reality Check doesn't need Renekton up there. They don't need X Shepard. X Shepard can stay in the bot lane just pushing and pushing and pushing, and if enough people from Infinite Odds go to try to stop the Baron, then we see X Shepard, he's going to be able to take a tower. And it looks like that's exactly what they're doing. Bubadub using a box to try to zone people out. And there goes the Nami initiation, DJ Lambo. He's going to rappel down, and that'll be a very quick disengage as well.
Got the dive in the bottom lane too. Yeah, he's getting down there, proxying the way between the turret. Finally got past there. It's gonna be all Kenny can do to try to get in there. He can throw down Deathmark, but even under turret, X-Shepard's so strong right now. It's gonna be tough for him to get out of this one alive. Goes in with the Deathmark, the damage down on Dai. Gonna use that Blade of the Ruin King to get himself back out alive. Dopu Shift has a little bit of skepticism with that Renekton dive, but as is both global objectives, Baron and the Dragon, going to RXG.
And I have to say, I think the better decision right there for X-Shepard was not to dive, but it was to take that tower. They need to push a tower, but instead he went for the dive. The fact that most of Infinite Odds went for the Baron really just allowed him that play right there, and Kenny Yu, without his ultimate, doesn't have a chance of killing Shepard. Let's be honest right there. And even with his ultimate, it's going to be very hard, especially if X-Shepard has his, and he can use that to bait it out. And Kenny Yu's going to take a little bit more damage in that engagement than X-Shepard, and that allows X-Shepard to keep pushing down on the bottom lane tower, but that's not what he decided to do. Instead, he decided to tower dive, and by the time Infinite Odds retreated from the Baron, there were enough people there to catch him out, which is the biggest factor in that fight right there. And so even though that was a Baron for Reality Check Gaming, you know, at what cost was it? They gave up so much of their pushing power. At this point, Infinite Odds, look, they're pushing out. Nothing is pushing up at their base anymore. I don't know if Baron was really the best decision right there. It would have been great if X-Shepard pushed down that bot tower, but that's just not what happened. And it looks like they're probably going back to this sort of slow push. We have Vlad pushing top, Renekton pushing bot, and the other three pushing mid. They need to group up. They need to force something to happen, especially with Baron. They have so much teamfight power. Just group up, take the mid tower. Group up, take the bot tower. They need to poke into this base somehow, and they're just not doing that.
All right, well, it does look like, I mean, we talked about how to breach these turrets. They're not going for the breaches. You looked at X-Shepard, he actually went for the dive. And when you're trying to push into the base, push things down, going for that dive one-on-one really isn't going to get you anywhere. And as is, that kind of stalled the game out a little bit, gave some extra itemization. You can see that's Zeal now on to Otter. And actually, you can see a pickaxe come out for working on the last Whisper there for iKennyU. Otter getting pushed out there by Tofu Shift in the top lane. But it's really all about how do you break this turret wall, how do you break into the base when you're RXG, because this is how games get thrown. This is how you have a bad engagement, game gets turned around. Bottom lane, iKenny continuing to shove things out there. Tofu Shift going in for some turret damage, but just able to heal back everything. Ultimate goes down on to Shinon. Bobkin throwing out the explosive cast. Shinon just healing everything back, not actually doing all that much damage.
Okay, so Bobkin's ultimate is down, Gragas' explosive cast. That is a huge ability. What I want to see, they need to group up mid right now. They need to fight on that popped ability. X-Shepard, he has a Sunfire's cape, and he has enough tankiness to survive a tower dive. He's looking to go for Kenny Yu once again. It looks like the Nami ult is popped as well. This is a time, if any, to fight. If X-Shepard initiates the fight, he'll be taking the tower, and he doesn't take that much damage from it. Sunfire cape, so much health, so much armor. He's going to be able to survive while the rest of the team kills it, and just really, that is what they need to do. But he's staying in the bottom lane. They're not pushing into the tower. That is what they need to do once again.
Ignite goes down as iKenny versus X-Shepard. Kenny picks up the kill. At last, Whisper, huge dividends for Kenny. And want to go down to minions. The pause coming out once again, so looks like we could have had some issues during that. Either way, it's another kill picked up for Infinite Odds. They're now 9-15. Starting to get some strengths. You can see 4 kills there onto Bobkin, and starting to see the 3rd kill there onto iKennyU as well. So, I mean, we didn't actually think it was possible. There's some interesting things starting to happen. I don't know if we can, necessarily comment on them. Apparently, the lag is really, really bad on servers right now. I mean, we're not getting any spectator lag, but hopefully we can see a little bit of reconnection. I mean, both teams are going to try to play it with the lag, but if it gets worse, I mean, there's not too much they can do right now, because, I mean, as soon as you start, like, going up against, like, teleporting people, you're like, oh, well, can we initiate? Can we go in? I don't know, but and that actually may be the reason why RXG hasn't gone into the base, hasn't gone for these initiations, because to be honest, if you're lagging super hard, you really can't like try to do anything. You can maybe defend against initiation, but it's going to be rough to deal with actually coordinating a dive through turrets when people are just teleporting around the map.
Yeah, and at the moment, Reality Check, They're edging out the goal difference. You know, their goal lead has been increasing, but at the same time, I still go back to the fact that infinite odds, they can still keep them out of their base, and with X Shepard down, that gives them a good advantage to do such once again. So I want to see that big push. They need to start forcing that. They have teamfight items and abilities. They have so much going for them. Like I said before, if X Shepard decides to initiate the fight under a tower, and granted they are lagging, and that is something that probably would not help them in a team fight. Certainly wouldn't help them in a team fight, but if they were to, say, not lag, they could initiate that fight. X Shepard could tank the tower for a really long time. I keep going back to the Sunfire Cape, giving him a lot of health and a lot of armor, and he also has Ninja Tabi, giving him even more armor on top of that, and the Doran Shield helps him a little bit, and no, that's just champion basic attacks. It's not actually towards towers, but either way, he's still got a lot of armor, he's still got a lot of tankiness, and when he pops his ultimate, well, there you go, even more health. He can tank the tower for however long he wants. Fragnatic playing Jarvan. Jarvan has a great kit to keep people where he wants them. He can knock people up with a flag and drag combo, and then use Cataclysm to lock people in to that little Thunderdome area that he builds there. Babadov, he makes sure people don't escape from him either. The death sentence, really sentencing people to their death when he lands it. And on top of that, he also has Flay and the box, really good abilities right there. Tofu Shift, his ultimate lets everyone else's AoE damage happen even more, and it also increases Shinon's damage whenever he tries to attack someone with Hemoplague on them. And Shinon can stay outside of the tower range, auto-attack people, and get those kills because Caitlyn is such a long-range AD carry. And that is seriously what they need to do at this point. They need to force something to happen, and they're just playing a little bit too defensively, in my opinion. They're not pushing as hard as they should be. And let's take a look at this tower. It's just out of frame, but we can see right now it's at less than half health. We can tell that much right there. So if they wanted to muscle someone off of that turret, they could do that as well. Shinon has a Bloodthirster as well as a Phantom Dancer, and he even has a pickaxe on top of that. It's a lot of attack damage, a lot of attack speed, and as Caitlyn, a lot of range. They can poke down that tower pretty easily as well. If they just want to try to muscle them off the turret, win a poke war, and take that tower down before initiating a fight, they can do that as well. But doing nothing, just sort of slow pushing, making sure the minions stay up to the base, is not what's going to win them the game.
And this is that key point in the game where if you're just like, oh my goodness, I don't know what's happening, this is so tense, I love these teams, the casters are amazing, you can go over to mcsesports.com/tips and leave us some tips. Not as in advice, as in, oh my goodness, you totally should have said this at this point in time, but you can donate some money to the production, to the casters, and let us know a little bit of thanks. You can support esports, and supporting esports is basically the most awesome thing to do. Also awesome is Twitter. And if you guys don't have a Twitter, then A, you're killing esports, and B, you should totally tweet at us at MCS Esports and hashtag MCS. I'll go ahead and take a look at those, well, as much as I can. So you can also follow us individually on Twitter. I'm at Rapid Casting and at Azaraki on there as well as Azaraki Dragon.
Azaraki Dragon.
Yeah, I was getting, I got this. I got this.
Okay. Gotta trust you a little more.
All right. Yeah, Twitter, it's amazing. So you can go tweet at us. Let us know how many times the game is paused, and you can win a Pulsefire Teemo skin. I'm totally kidding about that. If they actually made that skin, I would probably never play again. But
Teemo gets so much love and also so much hate at the same time. I'm on the Teemo hate train, to be honest. A lot of people really love Teemo, and I don't understand that.
I mean, I have no place in my heart for Yordle scum. Kenny, you very low. I just noticed that 72 HP getting back to turrets. That's pretty awesome. I mean, it doesn't get much closer than that. I mean, X Shepard was having some lag issues, so I don't know if you necessarily want to type hello in chat and make sure that everybody can hear you. But apparently people were teleporting around the screen, so trying to get everybody back in here. They have 18 minutes left to reconnect. It looks like, what do you know, Bubba Tofu Shift, and X Shepard all back in the game. So it looks like things may actually be moving in a positive esports friendly direction.
Yeah, all they need now is Fragnatic to reconnect, because he did disconnect in that mag. There we go, Fragnatic is back. He's going to be able to help his team out in this next engagement as well, and hopefully the lag has been fixed. And when I play sometimes, I've even gotten some of that lag, and even last week on Wednesday it was happening during the spectators too. just to me, just to my client, but everyone was teleporting around the map. People would freeze. That was sort of the big bug that was happening there. Happens when I play some games too, and it's really frustrating. So hopefully they're not getting the lag to that degree, because that would make it extremely hard to close out this game. But at the same time, I want to see them force that engagement. They need to force something to happen in order to win the game.
And but forcing's going to be a little bit interesting. We're starting to have some pretty interesting conversations here. We're finding out how people's days were going. We're finding out, if people are reconnecting or not. It looks like by and large, people are actually getting back into the game. So it's a good thing, right? I mean, it means we're moving in a good direction.
In a positive direction that gets more people connected to the game is where we're running there. So everyone on the side of Reality Check Gaming has reconnected, and they're just having a little bit of friendly banter in the chat, talking about how they're playing League. And that is something that they can certainly relate about. Unfortunately, there is no Hangman, so we don't get any Hangman. That is actually a popular pause game that is played quite often, but they're not going for that. A lot of people are reconnected. I think every member of Reality Check has reconnected at this point. They might just be seeing whether or not their connections hold up before they actually undo this pause. But we'll see what they decide to do. In the meantime, we can go ahead and talk about a little bit of these builds. So far, DJ Lambo is finally starting to build that Runic Bulwark for their team. She's been really, really far behind, and as a tank, Lee still does pretty well. She's got a lot of base damages due to the fact that she has percentage damage, percentage of max health or current health, one of those two, and also percentage of missing health. So with percentage damages, your base damages are really high. You don't need as much AP as other champions to do that damage. Not saying that AP on her is bad or anything. AP is great. It helps her do even more damage, but at the moment, their team needs a tank. She's going to function as the tank, and it's a tank that can put out a little bit of damage as well. So hopefully that Aegis gets built up fairly soon, and that'll help them survive whatever engagement Reality Check Gaming starts to pull once they actually get to the point where they can force an engagement. But it looks like 15 minutes left in the pause, and we're still just trying to see whether or not these guys are ready to get back into the game. It looks like people are asking each other if they're ready in chat. Got a bunch of R, and there we go. The pause is coming off. This game will be resumed right now. And another pause. That is great.
How much of this is troll and how much is actually them testing it? I have no idea what's going on. League servers tonight are in rare form, so if you guys, hopefully this isn't like Reddit thread level lag, but I mean, this is definitely starting to look like some EU West style action going on. I mean, we're unpaused, we're into the game. Things are actually happening, and I'm gonna say Otter and DJ Lambo Bobkin all chasing down this middle lane. Shinon turns around for a 300 damage crit, so I think that's gonna be the end of their push up that middle lane. It's 4v5 power play right now. I mean, Shinon's gonna be able to get out of there alive, but I don't know, just kind of base defense for now. I mean, if somebody wants to buy an Oracles and just walk through the base for RX or for infinite odds, they can probably make some good money. There's like 5 wards all in that little semicircle around their base, so hopefully they can get those taken care of. But to be honest, I mean, this is the first time this game where they've actually been able to push out of their base, and so you can see Kenny winning out that trade, just able to shove down that bottom lane pretty far.
Yes, and that's exactly what I think Reality Check needed to do. They just grouped up and they forced down that mid lane tower. Caitlyn had enough range, enough damage, enough attack speed to take the tower from a long range, and no one was really able to initiate that well on her, and they took the tower. That is huge. Now there's a bear inhibitor, and we keep talking about, okay, you don't want to fight under a tower. It does quite a bit of damage, but an inhibitor doesn't fight back. They can push down into the mid lane a lot more easily now, and that is going to help them when they try to close out the game once again. They're edging out the goal difference even more now, especially with that tower take. It looks like X-Shepherd still in the bot lane, going to be pushing that out while the rest of the team tries to force down the mid lane tower. There goes the Kenny Yu.
Going in with the death mark. Chucks it down below half HP, but it's still going to be a lot of damage left. Shepherd playing it close to his chest this time around. It's X-Shepherd with the win. Actually, buying that Negatron cloak was really what helped him out in that duel. Actually, I have no idea. He picked up 720 gold worth of MR and winds up winning against the champion that does all AD. That's some next level plays coming out from X Shepard. Continuous push down the bottom lane. It's now 4v5. Disadvantage to Infinite Odds. The initiation by Pragmatic. Immediate Hemoplague onto Otter. He's going to have to get back to base before he dies. Hemoplague forcing the barrier. Otter stays alive. That is the engage through the turret. It's the first inhibitor of the game fall down in that mid lane. Rotating bot. RXG finally having pierced Infinite Odds' impenetrable veil. It's like, you know, they're not going to back out of here. I mean, they're going to maybe kite backwards, but Infinite Odds, not quite a boy band, but moving in one direction towards the base. That is going to be the tidal wave coming out there from Body Drop. Throws down the nice double bubble, or single bubble there on a Shine On. Cleanse the way, almost immediately. Damage going down on a Bubba Dub. Now it's he's going to get condemned into the wall. Sentenced to death and taken out. Otter with the comeback though off of the platform. Take down 2 members. That is a 2-for-0 exchange as we did have Kenny respawn. Bobkin still got the home guards off there onto Shana. Actually, that's the perma home guard glitch. So he's going to be walking around with little rocket boots for the rest of the game.
And that was pretty entertaining to see. But one thing I would like to note, there we go. That is the initiation that they needed. They were, once they took that mid lane tower in the base, once they took the inhibitor tower, they could just push in. They won the team fight. They took the inhibitor. They rolled bot. They took that tower and the inhibitor. At that point, they were at very low health, so they couldn't necessarily win the next fight, and most of their ultimates were down as well. But they still took 2 inhibitors. They lost the fight, but it's not a throw at all. Those 2 inhibitors are really huge, and at this point, they can all group up, start pushing the top lane. That allows them to keep control over Baron, and the 2 lanes, mid and bot, are going to start pushing out ever so slowly once they have these super minions that they can force so much pressure on every lane of Infinite Odds base. That is what they want to do at this point, and hopefully they'll be able to close out the game at that point. And, you know, like I said, they took that mid tower, they can close out the game now. And looking across the map, a couple more builds. We have the Quicksilver Sash for Caitlyn, so they know that Shine On is one of their biggest players. They tell her to, okay, go take a Quicksilver Sash. That's going to keep you alive for much longer. And it looks like they're going for another Baron, but at the same time, Infinite Odds do look like they know about this, or at least they smell something fishy. And here we go. They might see the initiation. There goes the Namiel.
Things actually kind of freezing on the screen for me right now. I think I'm having a little bit of that lag myself, so I'll let you cover the action.
Oh, and Bobkin actually flashes over the wall. Shine On flashes after him as well. There goes the ultimate from Caitlyn. He's going to be able to pick him up. And X Shepard is looking for the follow-up initiation. Lands the stun on the body drop, and Pragmatic goes back in for it with a flag and grab combo. There goes body drop. A second kill for the red team at this point. Reality Check looking very strong. They might be able to force down the base at this point. All of them are at full health except for Pragmatic. He's the only one who's taken any damage in that fight. Otter is trying to force him out with Silver Bolts. And it looks like Kenny Yu is going to be dragged over the wall with flag and drag, trying to ultimate him. And there goes the kill onto Pragmatic. Deathmark will be able to pick him up. However, that Deathmark is down. He's not going to be able to kill someone like Shine On, one of the squishies of the team. And it looks like they're just trying to force the towers down at this point. DJ Lambo forced to repel out of there, but there's nothing to repel to except for the enemy team. The Ignite is ticking off, but he's going to be able to escape as they're focusing on the Nexus towers at this point. And it looks like this is probably going to be GG right there. Oh. There goes the second turret.
All right, second turret going down there and crushing into the base. A little bit of an antithesis of what we've been seeing from the last couple, 3-4 minutes. After all the pauses, it will resume, and it does look like, even though there are some kills going down the way of Otter, we are going to see the Nexus fall. The game will go 18-13 in favor of Reality Check Gaming.